There were several voices. Apparently, my neighbors had guests over. They were chattering and occasionally snarling, which reminded me of hyenas. I almost dozed off to that monotonous muttering. When I realized that the voices quieted, I pulled the voice recorder back up. I made myself comfortable on the ancient sofa and started listening to the recording. One time when I was little, I was visiting friends. They had a real antique, a huge radio gramophone, which stood in or on the cabinet. Its heating light bulbs droned when it was on, and a mysterious warm light shone from inside it. If you turned the old yellow knob slowly enough, you could hear a lot of things, such as a twanging of the Kazakh dombra, or the meowing speech of our Chinese brothers. But usually it produced mysterious rushing with rare noises of seemingly alien nature. It sounded like aliens exchanging coded messages or ghosts trying to say something from the underworld. Sometimes it was rather creepy. But this was scarier for some reason. The strangers' voices were rather hard to make out. The words I could sometimes understand usually didn't make sense, as if they weren't speaking Russian, though I knew and understood most of the words perfectly. I also understood that they were talking about me indeed. First, they mentioned my last name, and then declared that it's time to kill Vanya. I jumped up and put in my headphones. It was another sleepless night for me, except the TV had nothing to do with it. Eyes are the mirror of the soul. My tired, restless soul looked back at me from the mirror. This must be what chronic alcoholics see every morning. I still can't get used to it. 3 sleepless days, and over 70 hours of deciphering the mumbling between interference and TV noise. Turned out I wasn't the first victim of this savage gang. It wasn't the first time they were planning to shoot someone. I even heard a gun click, and then dismember and scatter at forests and dumps. Valentin's mysterious friend assured him that it would be impossible to identify me by random body parts. Talking about murder, intervened with cooking recipes and discussing summer vacation, which only made it scarier. So they can murder a person, wash their hands, sit down to the table, drink vodka, chasing it down with spiced herring, make plans for the upcoming summer. While my body will be laying packed in a dozen plastic bags, then it will be thrown into the trunk of a lusty Lada 6 and taken to the suburbs. And no one will ever know about my death, but I will be gone, only consuming impenetrable darkness, absolute emptiness, and silence. A sudden noise made me jump in my computer chair. I stared into the darkness and felt a cold sweat break out onto my back. Bony black hands reached toward me from the window, and then threw their long, twisted fingers toward me. I closed my eyes tightly and started giggling. I was scared by crooked shadows of branches when a car drove by when I was little. But I'm a grown-up now. The noise turned out to be the clatter of the neighbor's TV. Irritation and anger bubbled up in me, filling the space freed by the temporarily disappeared fear. I felt the urge to go downstairs, kick the mean old woman, and break Valentin's own legs. To punch out a couple of teeth, break a few ribs. And most importantly, throw the dang TV out the window. Then go outside, dance on the pieces until I'm taken away by medics. Or by noble policemen, who seem to protect only drunks and criminals in this country. I shook my head to banish the dark thoughts. During Valentine's last visit, I was cooled by the thought of Russian prison as well. And my wife, who will come to visit me and will move in next to this scum, all alone. No way. Prison is not for such a young, just beginning to live teacher like me. They're the ones that should be in prison. Valentine and his criminal buddies, and even the old woman covering for them. Who, by the way, participates in their creepy table talk. I uploaded all of the recordings and transcripts with the times of most interesting parts to a memory stick. Looked up the address of the closest police department on the internet and started to wait. The morning TV program announced that the beginning of the workday is just around the corner. Morning came. I don't remember how I reached the police station. The same thoughts were drowsily spinning in my head. Militia was replaced by the police. My militia kept me safe. But policia, or politia, I don't know, doesn't have to. It's not militia. Maybe they were renamed again. Now they're gendarmes. Gendarmes? I don't know. I really hope that I wasn't babbling aloud while waiting for the district police officer to see me. They let me into his office, but he was somewhere else. Having breakfast? I imagine him going down to the first floor, entering a code on the massive door. Goes into the wing where the remand prison is? What's a remand prison doing in a police station? Passes the doors with windows, out of which aluminum dishes are shoved out of. Takes those dishes, takes a spoon out of his boot, and hastily eats someone's gruel. When he's done, he pulls out his long tongue and licks his lips, face, his whole bald head, and gives me his usual bored, reproachful stare. What's he unhappy about? Did I do something wrong? Did I forget to do something? Bon appetit. The left eyebrow started to creep up. No, my right. His second right? Or extreme left? How many dang eyebrows does he have? Looks like I guessed wrong. He needed something else. Hello, perhaps? The officer dubiously agreed. Perhaps. Despite the tiny dimensions of the office, he managed to work around me in an arch. Wiped the dusty vault, which hadn't had that honor since last century, with his uniformed butt. Edged into the squeaky chair and made a couple of automatic movements. Simultaneously twitched his arm and jerked his leg. Or was it the other way around? In any case, the policeman's leg hit the computer case under the table. The ancient computer, which is at least as old as the dust on the vault, started to come alive. Snorted, cackled, stretched, shook its head. I mean, it would do that if it was human. Being the old machine that it is, it started jumping and shaking like a farm tractor. Or the Vyatka? Soviet washing machine. At the same time, the twitched arm ended up pushing a button on a remote. Then and there, something exploded and guns started barking behind me. I turned my head and stared at the screen in surprise. The NTV channel, with its endless string of shows about cops and criminals, was on. Was this job our district officer's calling? Something he couldn't imagine his life without? He's like a prostitute who comes home from work, turns on porn, and invites the neighbor over for a quickie. I'm looking at it the wrong way. Before me is a truly devoted servant of law enforcement. But why is he defending the mean granny and Valentine the crook? What unites them? Love for the grumbling with gunshots, TV? What did he find in my house? Classical music. Conclusion, Citizen Nemov is a moral monster, while Granny and the jailbird are friendly victims of that classical monster. He won't help me. I even rose to leave, saw the officer's look, sat down. It won't hurt to try. Someone wants to kill me. The officer knowingly nodded like, who doesn't? I would kill you too, but I'm on duty. Too busy. The granny? Well, she too. I'm not making it up here. I'm not making it up. Here. The proof's on the memory stick. It's a recording of a discussion of my murder and dismemberment. Gennady Petrovich looked at the memory stick. He didn't even try to take it. He spent about 30 seconds trying to set it on fire with his eyes. Finally, he squeamishly took it with 2 fingers and crawled under the table. He fidgeted with turning the computer case for a while. Finally, he hit his bald head on the table, cursed, and came up. I explained to him what to look for and where, which files had which information, while Gennady Petrovich looked at me very disapprovingly as usual. It's empty. I can't hear anything. I started to worry. How? That can't be. Turn up the volume. Where are the speakers? Gennady Petrovich looked at me with even more disapproval. He took small speakers out of a table drawer, unwinded the cord, and went under the table again to plug them in. Can't hear anything, just the TV. At least now, do you believe me that they were bothering me with it? Was this recorded in your apartment? No, in the vent. Gennady Petrovich looked at me empathetically and didn't even say anything. But they're talking about murdering me. You have to go to my house so you can listen to it in good headphones. Gennady Petrovich got even more burned. I'll write a complaint. You have to react to it. The officer changes his look from bored to disapproving. Sighed and moved a piece of printer paper and a bitten pen toward me. Looks like Gennady Petrovich received a complaint from beavers recently. I took out my stylus from my pocket and then wittingly started to bite it. Great. Now I have to remember to put the right signature. I should sign Nemov, not Beaver. And I had to cross out the first signature. I joked too much. I have to hand it to him. Our policeman came over rather quickly, but there wasn't much use of his visit. He obediently placed the headphones on his bald head and put on his bored look before I even turned on the first recording. He heard distinct words in the places I marked. He even heard the same words I did. At least he nodded his dreary head when I asked him about it. But when I asked if anything could be done, he shook his head no. First of all, he hadn't found any proof of evil intent on the recordings. Second of all, the recordings were made illegally and could not be presented as proof in court. So I had to have written consent of the neighbors to record. When you get killed, then come see me. For the first time, I thought I saw a sparkle of joy in the officer's eyes. Despite that, his face stayed absolutely serious. He's not joking. It's how they work. If there's a body clinching the killer's passport, they got a case. Or if the neighbors tell them that someone saw a person leaving the victim's apartment who was carrying a bloody axe and had distinguishing features all over their body. But if a harmless alcoholic with a knife invited his friends with guns to kill the neighbor, not enough of a case. Let them kill and dismember him first. Have you seen Minority Report? I have! It was a while ago. It was very interesting. Our state is not totalitarian enough to imprison people for crimes they haven't committed yet. Have a nice day. And the police officer marched off, leaving me gaping or gasping for air on the doorstep. You crappy intellectual, half-baked moralist. So you're the hero who protects the rights and freedoms of citizens. Excuse me, what? Okay. I am sorry, I cannot translate this. I cannot read this. I checked. It is still on English. I don't think they ever translated that. I don't know. Oh my gosh. By staying alive, I am going against their moral principles and cause, effect, links. But they would gladly work with my dismembered remains. Perhaps they would even somehow link them to my recordings and complaints. Or, since they're illegal, file another cold case. But with a clear conscience and in a good mood, my remains wouldn't annoy them as much as living me does. What would they consider proof? If not audio, then maybe video? But video of what? Will a video of a criminal waving his gun and promising to kill me be enough? I have an old camcorder somewhere in the wardrobe. One of those you can tie a rope to. Not one of those half phones. Oh, okie dokie. Alright. Oh boy. Should I do this? I probably need written consent of the neighbors for this as well. But it might get me some attention. So what should I do? My first choice. Videotape the neighbors. Leave the camera where it is. Well, I feel like this is going to get me killed. Why hesitate? I'm surrounded by monsters which need to be brought into the open. This is not the way it should be. I used to be scared of homeless, muzzleless dogs because they bite, or they could bite. I was scared of germs, which could also, if not kill, then cause illness. I was scared of traffic because I could be hit by a car. I was scared of burning my fingers on a flame or a frying pan. Those were all proper fears. They protected my life and my health. But never was I scared of people. I could always come to an agreement with them, even if the argument couldn't be won with words. I could always use force. Now I'm knocking on a solid wall. Words don't help. Beating someone else up won't help. Because it'll only fuel their appetite for revenge. I need to fight with all available means. A dog can be chased away with a stick. A frying pan can be picked up with a pot holder. Any road can be crossed using the traffic light. But what is there to do with these mean, unbelievably cruel people? A stick won't scare them away, except perhaps it could beat them to death. I imagine myself beating the old woman with a club I picked up on the street, and understood that I don't have much left. Either her son's friends will shoot me, or I will strike him down and her too, with an axe. And I will take the 20 kopecks due for such a good deed. As one world-famous student said, 5 grannies make a ruble. I even tried to imitate an evil laugh. Got it right on the fourth try. Meanwhile, I tied a rope to the old camcorder, turned it on, and started lowering it from the open window.